Good day, students. We are now on our next lesson. We are going to talk about the indigenous peoples in the Philippines and their creative crafts. So, last time we tried to define the concept of indigenous as defined by IPRA. So, to sum it up, it refers to a group of people sharing common buds of language, customs, traditions, and other distinctive cultural traits who have under claims of ownership since time immemorial utilize a territory. Indigenous people make about 5% of the global population and hold over a quarter of the world's land, or 14.7 million square miles, spread throughout 87 areas. In the Philippines, it accounts for about 14% of the country's population. They are considered among the country's poorest and most marginalized social groups. They have substantially greater rates of illiteracy, unemployment, and poverty than the general population. They generally live in the mountains and were thus unaffected by Spanish or American colonization, which is one of the main reasons they were able to keep their traditions and rituals. So in the Philippines, IP groups are divided into 8 primary categories that are spread over the country's three mainlands, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. The Negrito of Luzon, the Igorot, the Mangyan, the Ati, the Lumad, the Bajau, and the Palawan tribes, and the Panay tribes are the 8 primary categories. So the geographic distribution of the groupings across the country is depicted in the diagram that you can see here. So IPs inhabiting Mindanao consist of the Moros and the Lumads, with the Lumads composing of the Bagobo of Davao del Sur, South and North Cotabato, and Sultan Kudarat, the Mansaka of Davao del Norte, Mandaya of Davao Oriental, Subanen of the Zamboanga Peninsula, Bilaan of Davao del Sur, South Cotabato, North Cotabato, Maguindanao, and Sultan Kudarat, Tiboli of South Cotabato, and Tiruray of North Cotabato, Maguindanao, and Sultan Kudarat. IPs in the Cordillera region are collectively referred as the Igorot, with groups such as the Ibaloy, Kankanay, Bontoc, Ifugao, Kalinga, and Isneg, Tingian, and Kalanguya residing in the provinces of Ifugao, Kalinga, Apayao, Benguet, Mountain Province, and Baguio City. So the indigenous people living in the northern part of the country are called the Igorots, whereas those non-Muslim indigenous tribes living in the south are referred to as the Lumad. The Igorots, a group of tribes from the northern region of the country, live primarily in the Cordillera region's mountain ranges. Rice cultivators are what they are known for. The Banawi rice terraces, sometimes known as the Eighth Wonder of the World, were created by a people known as the Ifugaos. More than 2,000 years ago, the ancestors of this indigenous tribe carved a system of irrigated rice terraces in the Ifugao highlands. Other indigenous groups living in northern Luzon include Gandang, Ilongot, Eta, and Ivatan. So these names are used in books and other scholarly materials, so they do not accurately define the indigenous groups in northern Luzon. Meanwhile, indigenous tribes are largely located in Mindanao and western Visayas in the country's south. These non-Muslim indigenous people of Mindanao are collectively known as the Lumad, a Cebuano term that means native or indigenous. The Bilaan, Bukidnon, Higawanon, Mamanwa, Mandaya, Manobo, Mansaka, Sangir, Subanen, Tagabawa, Tagakulod, Saday, and Tibuli are among the Lumad ethnic groups. Their tribe is well known for its tribal music, which is created using musical instruments they invented. Among those mentioned above, the Manobo tribe includes further big ethnic groups such as the Eta Manobo, Agusan Manobo, and Dulangan Manobo, to name a few. Next, we have the Negrito of Luzon. The Philippines Negritos are made up of around 25 ethno-linguistic groups that are dispersed over the archipelago and number around 15,000 people. They are located on several major islands in the country: Luzon, Palawan, Panay, Negros, Cebu, and Mindanao. Negritos have traditionally lived on hunting, gathering, fishing, marginal cultivation, and symbiotic relationships with neighboring non-Negrito people. Some live in the forest, lintos made from sticks and grasses, and make clothes from inner bark of trees. Most live in villages. The Eta are Negritos that live in the jungles and mountains of Luzon. Men used to wear loincloths and sarongs. Many hunted with bows and arrows, with arrows that had different points depending on which kind of animal they were pursuing. Next, IP, we have the Mangyans. The Mangyans are an indigenous people living on the island of Mindoro, Philippines. For the Mangyans, craft has always been a product of their way of life and an extension of their customs and traditions. Some of their crafts include the woven textiles by Hanunuo Mangyan mothers of Mansalay and Bulalakaw, the rattan baskets by the Alangan Mangyans of Naujan, the Nito baskets by the Iraya Mangyans, the beaded items by the Alangan and Hanunuo Mangyans. Next, we have the Ati. So the Atis can be found in the different provinces of Panay, Iloilo, Antique, Capiz. They are also found in other places but with different names. For Negros, we have Eta, so Zambales, Tarlac, Pampanga, Ita, Isabela, they call it Agta, and for Cagayan, they call it Pugot. So the island of Boracay in central Philippines is home to the Ati people, whose ancestors were believed to have arrived through a land bridge from Borneo thousands of years ago and were thus the first inhabitants of the country. Because of continual intermarriage with lowlanders, the Ati's population has been steadily dwindling over time. In addition, the entrance of lowland settlers had impact on their way of life. As a result, only a few members remain who are fluent in their ancestral language. Next, we have the Bajau. So they are known as the sea tribes living on houseboats and hail from the Sulu Islands in Mindanao. As diverse fishers and navigators, they strive to make ends meet by relying on the water. Because of regional disputes, the bulk of them have fled to neighboring countries such as Malaysia and Indonesia, while those who have remained in the Philippines have relocated to other parts of Luzon. Bajaus are known for its tepo. The Bajau mat is extremely popular in the region, yet it is hard to come by. A 3-yard length of this mat takes at least a month of meticulous labor to complete. The mat is formed from a dwarf pandanus species that grows abundantly along Tawi-Tawi's limestone coast. Next, we have the Palawan tribes. So Palawan, the largest province in the Philippines, is home to several indigenous ethno-linguistic groups, namely the Cagayanen, Tagbanwa, Palawano, Taot Bato, Molbog, and Batak tribes. They live in remote villages in the mountains and coastal areas. Among the original dwellers in the island is the Palawano tribe, also known as the Palawan or Palawan. This indigenous cultural community lives in the southern part of Palawan province and thought to be descendants of the Tabon cavemen. A famous handicraft produced by the Palawanos is called tingkep or tingkop. It is a unique basket made of rattan and used to store rice, carry food, or even store treasured possessions. Tingkep is also used by healers during a ritual called kundu to house the spirit of Linamen, a beautiful and powerful female spirit. This woven basket is slowly gaining popularity among tourists, which serves as another source of profit for the tribe. Lastly, we have the Panay tribes. The Suludnon, also known as the Panay Bukidnon or Panayanon, are a culturally indigenous Visayan group who live in the Capiz, Lambunao, mountainous area and the Antique, Iloilo mountain area of Panay in the Philippines, Visayan Islands, along with the Hollow Woodnon of Lambunao and Kalinog, Iloilo, and the Irainon Bukidnon of Antique. They are one of the two only culturally indigenous groups of Visayan language speakers in the Western Visayas. They are also part of the larger Visayan ethno-linguistic group, which is the largest Filipino ethno-linguistic group. So they also make use of bamboo musical instruments to express themselves in traditional songs, dances, and epics. And they are also known for their intricate embroidery, which is known as panubok. The, tinu- the Tinubkan fashion show in Iloilo City honors the panubok's heritage. The Sulud are also known for their traditional practices based on binukot and nabukot mysticism. Currently, the Sulud or Panay Bukidnon face several challenges in their existence, despite the fact that Panay's local governments have reorganized or recognized their significance and have begun establishing several projects to help preserve their culture. So these are the 8 major ethnic groups in the Philippines. I hope you learned a lot for today. So that will be all. Thank you so much and see you